cuffs are off, man. Get right. Too many left in these leagues, but I ain't gonna leave. I'ma get right. Get right. Down to the bottom and scratch it for all the...
Hey everybody, Adam Rank here.
What's up, everybody? It's Marcus Grant.
This is AJ Dillon of the Green Bay Packers.
I got to give a shout out to y'all at Get Right Fantasy.
If you are not subscribed, what are you waiting for? Do you want to lose your league?
Our league, check out the Get Right Fantasy Network.
You got to get right with the Get Right Fantasy Network.
And best of luck with your podcast. Appreciate the support.
And you're tuned in to watch my boys at Get Right Fantasy Network. Get you right. Enjoy the show.
But I tune every Friday. Strategies provided, I will lock in every way. So go and roll your sleeves up. Yeah, go roll your sleeves up. And I'm getting down, cause I roll my sleeves up. And I'm getting right, cause I roll my sleeves up.
Yo, what's up, football fans? It is Thursday, October the 3rd. Another DFS underdog higher or lower betting podcast for you with a little bit of the weekly picks mixed in. Got a new segment today on the show. Before we hit the announcements, pay some bills at the top. My Wednesday show at 6 p.m. Pacific time set a new record last night. We had over 100 viewers show up at its peak, hovering right around like that 89, 90 mark for the most of the show. And then finally eclipsing to get to triple digits. So if you came out last night, big shout out, much love, appreciate y'all. Make sure you hop over to YouTube, hit that like and subscribe button. If you are listening along on Patreon or Spotify, I appreciate you being part of the podcast there. We got a bunch of stuff to get to. So without further ado, let's jump in. Let's do it. Y'all know the schedule at this point. I'm going to throw it up here on the screen. But Mondays, we got our waiver shows at 9 p.m. Pacific. Tuesdays, check out my boy Tycoon over at the Fantasy Boardroom. He kicks off at 7 p.m. Pacific time. On Wednesdays, you have my show at 6. This is backwards, Rasta. Wednesday, you got my show at 6 p.m. And then followed immediately by our Buy Low, Sell High with Rasta and Frank. And then Thursdays, it's 4 p.m. Pacific time, going through the DFS higher or lower on underdog, as well as the weekly picks. And then, of course, on Friday, do not miss our two-part sit-start show, 6 p.m. and 8 p.m. Pacific. Myself, Rasta, Kendall, and Classic Mike will take you through every single game on the slate. Make sure you are ready for your lineups. And then, of course, on Sunday at 8 in the morning, make sure you jump in one final time with our boy Classic Mike as he takes you through the active, inactive list, and, of course, answers any last-minute sit-start questions for Q&A. Before we jump in here, of course, you know our guys over at Underdog. We love Underdog Fantasy. It is the best and easiest place to play fantasy sports. From the best ball tournaments, which means, of course, no draft, no season-long time commitment, no waivers, no trades, no weekly lineup setting. You can also enter their pick'em contest where you pick higher or lowers on player stats like total yards and touchdowns. Use the promo GETRIGHT, GETRIGHT, to receive 50% deposit match. Instead of the $100 in bonus cash that I used to get, you can now receive $1,000 in bonus cash. Visit underdogfantasy.com. Download the fastest growing fantasy app from your app store today. All right, we paid some bills. Everybody's happy. Let's talk about last week. We had week 4, Thursday night football. Just a quick review of my lines. We had Zeke, 7.5 rushing attempts. I took the lower. That was a win. Devin Singletary, we took an anytime touchdown. I took the higher. That was a loss. Jake Ferguson, 4.5 receptions. Took the higher. That was a win. Devin Singletary, 61.5 rushing yards. Took the higher. That was a loss. And CD Lambeezy, anytime touchdown. We took the higher. That was a win. On the main slate, before we get to the main slate, look, the game just got away from the Giants. The process was right. I think it was a solid play at the end of it all. The Giants just didn't have much. If you took Neighbors and you took any sort of over, you were set. Otherwise, there just wasn't much left over once the game kind of got out of hand. On the main slate, took Darnell Mooney at 3.5 receiving targets. That was a higher bet, and that was a win. I actually told y'all early in the week last week I didn't know which way I was going to go on T. Higgins, whether it was going to be 4.5 receptions or 52.5 total receiving yards. I couldn't make up my mind, so I took them both. And they both hit. They were both wins. And Najee Harris, man, I shouldn't have done it. I knew not to do it. It's like fool's gold, right? But with no Jaylen Warren, I really thought, hey, they can get there, 63.5 rushing yards. I took the higher. That was, of course, a loss. He had 19 rushing yards on 13 carries. So with the Thursday night mixed in with the main slate, that brings my overall 2024 record to 13-6. So not horrible, not great. Liking where I'm at so far. I'm plus money, and that's what we're after. So now that you all are tuned in, what do we like tonight? I'm going to go through a couple. I'm going to go through 3 lines, and I'll be honest. Tonight's game it's hard for me, man. It's a divisional game. It's a short week. There wasn't a lot of great lines that I like. These were the 3 that I feel the most comfortable with. So this is what I'm taking tonight. And I'm going to start with something I don't normally do, and I really don't like it, but I make a lot of my decisions based off of data. Kirk Cousins is listed at 235.5 passing yards. In his 4 weeks, he has thrown for 155, 241, 230, and 238. So he's eclipsed this mark that the line is tonight twice, but not by much. And Bucks have a good pass defense. Vita Vea is in there tonight, rushing the passer. I'm taking the lower, and I hate betting lowers. I really just don't like it. You're rooting against a player, but Cousins just hasn't been great. His metrics are right around where this line is set. So I think it's going to be really close, but I am going to take the lower tonight, which means I like to bet higher, so I want to bet and root with players. So I've got 2 lines here that I will take the higher on. First one is Chris Godwin, and it's 69.5 receiving yards. And it's not low. The number doesn't seem low to me, but it also seems very reasonable. In 4 weeks, Godwin has gone 83, 117, 53, and 69 yards last week. So look, he's killing it out of the slot. AJ Terrell is a decent corner. I like Terrell. I think he's a good player, and he's more than likely going to be shadowing Mike Evans. Baker's throwing it a ton. So I like Chris Godwin tonight to go higher. I couldn't really figure out if I liked Godwin or if I liked Evans more as far as like an anytime touchdown scorer. So I didn't go that route tonight. Obviously, it could go either way if they do score, but give me the yardage tonight, and I feel pretty good about that. The other line that I like here is Bucky Irving. It is 45.5 rushing yards. I'm going to take the higher. His totals have been 62, 22, 70, and 49. So look, he's hit this line in 3 of his 4 games so far this season. And look, it's basically a timeshare right now with Rachaad White. And I'm starting Rachaad White in a league tonight, and I'll be honest, I threw it in the group chat today to crowdsource. I just don't have a better option. I think tonight's a better night for Bucky than it is for Rachaad White. He's kind of been banged up. I do think that the Bucks are going to win this game. I get that. I'll get to that in my weekly picks here in a little bit. I don't think it's going to be a blowout, but I do think Bucky's going to have a lot of play here, especially in the second half. If it does become a blowout, I think he's an even stronger play. So yeah, give me 45.5 rushing yards. I will take the higher, and those are the 3 Thursday night football lines that I like. Let's stay with this game before we go to the main slate to talk about some lines for the weekend. This is a new segment on the show, and I'm going to be adding in a Thursday night captain mode, so NFL Showdown. This is a cash lineup in a double up. So that's meaning basically that I need to outproduce half of the field, and I will double my money. Captain mode, your cost for the player is 1.5x their salary, but they get 1.5x on their points. So tonight, here's what I'm looking at. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 flex, 1 captain, so 6 total players. I like Chris Godwin tonight as my captain, coming in at $15,000 off a $50,000 budget. Again, I couldn't decide between Evans and Godwin for an anytime touchdown, but I like the yardage, and if Godwin gets the touchdown tonight, assuming Baker throws one, then that salary should more than be paid off with Godwin's usage as well as the touchdown thrown in. I am going to play Kirk Cousins. I know it's a primetime game, but I think that the Falcons are going to be chasing the game a little bit. It's not my favorite game environment. I think it's probably, if it's close, probably 23-20, maybe 27-23. But I think that it's possible Cousins has to throw a bit. So I like Cousins here at 8,600. I'm throwing Bucky Irving in at 6,400. Because I played Cousins, I'm going to play Drake London at 8,800. And then I've got 2 more bucks here with Baker Mayfield at 9,600. And then my dart throw is Sterling Shepard as the wide receiver 3 for only $1,600. Paid up for the stars of the game, the studs, if you will. So I had to gotta get a guy in the lineup, and Sterling Shepard, 1,600. Look, if he catches 2 passes and gets me 30 yards, he doubles his salary, he pays it off. And again, I only have to be better than half the field in order to cash. So I like this lineup tonight. If you are playing in the captain mode, you have to have at least one player from each team. But tonight I like a 4-2 build. So I've got $4 and 2 Falcons. Let's talk about the main slate. 1, 2, 3. I got 5 lines that I like this week. Jordan Addison. Look, this is a game, the Jets against the Vikings. The game is in England, so it's for the West Coasters, it's your 6:30 a.m. breakfast, beers, and football on Sunday. Jordan Addison came back last week, crushed it. 2 touchdowns, had a great day. Sauce Gardner is going to cover Justin Jefferson. Sometimes that doesn't matter because the talent of Jefferson is just too good, but the line on Jordan Addison is way too low. 38.5 receiving yards. I think he gets there, and he should get there easily. I know easily is not a great word in betting, but this is a line he should hit. So give me Jordan Addison for higher on 38.5 receiving yards against the Jets, with JJ drawing coverage from Sauce Gardner in that matchup. My next line is Derrick Henry as an anytime touchdown scorer. Derrick Henry's on fire. He's absolutely crushing it. He has scored a touchdown in every single game this season. Cincinnati is 25th against the run, so give me Derrick Henry for a higher on a 0.5 as the anytime touchdown scorer. In that same game, Justice Hill's usage has been good, and I do think this is a game that I didn't pick it. We'll get to the picks in a minute, but I think the Bengals could win it as an upset pick. I know that's crazy. I did pick the Ravens, but you know as well as I do, some of these divisional games, they're weird. And Cincinnati went to Kansas City and should have won that game if it wasn't for a late pass interference call. So I like Justice Hill in this game. His usage has been good. I didn't take his rushing line. I actually took his total line at 38.5 total yards because his pass catching volume has been pretty good. In week 2 against Las Vegas, he had 32 total yards. Otherwise, he hasn't missed this mark, 38.5. He's gone over that, well over that, in every other game this season. So give me Justice Hill at 38.5 total yards. I will take the higher there. 2 more lines here that I like. Look, the Cardinals rank 28th against the run. The game is in San Francisco. Jordan Mason is due. I'm going to take him this week as an anytime touchdown scorer. So give me the higher on Jordan Mason as the anytime touchdown scorer at home against Arizona. My last one, I like this line, and I think this line is not low, but I do think it's very, very reasonable for Josh Jacobs to get to 65.5 rushing yards. I'm going to take the higher here. The Rams rank 32 against the run. Jacobs didn't get there last week. They were so behind in that game. Jordan Love ended up throwing it 5,000 times. And I think the Rams, with their struggles with no receivers, with the offensive line pieces that are missing, I think this is a great day for Josh Jacobs. Marshawn Lloyd's still on injured reserve. Give me Josh Jacobs, 65.5 rushing yards. Give me the higher. Let's switch gears over to our DFS, again, cash game. This is my player pool this week. So if you are looking for these lines, you can find them on DraftKings. That's where I play DFS. You can obviously go enter their large field GPPs and their tournaments, but you can certainly go and play in cash. I prefer to play cash more so than I like the GPPs. But here is my cash player pool. 3 guys at quarterback this week. Look, if you believe that Houston and Buffalo is a shootout, and I think a lot of people do, you got to play Josh Allen. He's 7,700. He is the QB1 on the slate. In full PPR, he's scored roughly 33 points, then 9, then 30, then 9. So it's been up, down, which regardless of what you believe about, his pass catching options, Josh Allen's cheat code has been his rushing. So when he runs, he breaks the slate. When he doesn't, he basically busts the week. So I believe this is a shootout. He's in my cash game player pool. I think it's a strong play at 7,700. It's basically the same price as some of the receivers and the running backs that we're going to talk about. Josh Allen, I've seen obviously all the way up closer to 10K. So this is probably as cheap as you're going to get him this season. But again, if you believe that line, Houston Buffalo is going to take the over as far as the game total is concerned, then Josh Allen should be in your player pool as well. If you need some salary savings, you're trying to jam in, an extra receiver in your flex spot, a higher priced receiver in your flex spot this week, then let me give you two names that you can pay down for at quarterback. Kind of the middle of the pack here, Brock Purdy at 6,200. Arizona ranks 29th against the pass. Debo's healthy. He's ramping up. George Kittle scored a touchdown last week and looked good. At some point, Brandon Ayuk's going to show up. So I like Mason in the run game here. I think this is a good day for the Niners. No, it's not me being a fan. It's just reality. At 6,200, I like Purdy in this matchup in my cash game pool. And this one's interesting, my last player, because he is the cheapest on the slate, and it is an easy way to quote unquote go there. But Geno Smith at 5,900. Look, he set career highs in yards and attempts last week, passing attempts. He gets the Giants at home. Neighbors is probably going to miss this game. It's in concussion protocol still. It's already Thursday. He did not practice again today. So unless he clears it by tomorrow, I think he's probably a game time decision at best. But look, this salary savings is there for Geno. The problem is if Neighbors doesn't play, what else do the Giants really have? And I don't know that they have a ton. So Geno may not have to do much if the game gets out of hand. So I'm probably playing Brock Purdy or Josh Allen this week, but we'll see how the rest of the week, winds up, what the practice reports look like. And again, how I want to build my lineups with some of these higher priced receivers. If I want to try to jam a fourth receiver in there, I might go down to Geno because I do think it's going to be a good day for him, even if the game gets a little bit lopsided. At the running back position, there's four guys that I like. The first one is a volume play. It has continued to be a volume play. It's Kyren Williams at 7,600. So again, I mentioned Josh Allen at 7,700. To get Josh Allen for $100 more than Kyren is a steal. Look, it's a volume play because Puka and Kupp. See what I did there? Kupp and Puka are not there. And look, Green Bay's kind of middle of the pack defense. I think they're a solid defense, but they're certainly beatable. So again, if you're looking at volume, it's going to be Kyren at 7,600. He projects really well in this game. I don't know that he'll make it into my final lineup. He's obviously in my pool of players, but I can pretty much promise you Josh Jacobs at 6,400 is going to be in my lineup, barring something crazy. Rams are 32nd against the run. They are the 28th overall DST. For those playing the home game, there's only 32 teams in the NFL. So basically the Rams are dead last against the run. I don't like the offensive pieces in Los Angeles right now. I don't believe if the Packers get out ahead that the Rams can keep up. I know the Rams just beat the Niners, but at the end of the day, give me Josh Jacobs. I liked his rushing total yardage, and I like his price point here at 6,400 this week as my RB1 in cash. I'm pretty in on Jordan Mason this week at 7,400. Arizona, as I mentioned, 29th overall DST, 28th against the run. I like Mason this week. I think it's going to be a good week for the Niners at 7,400. He projects well. It's not a super expensive player. So Jacobs and Mason are probably where I'm going this week, early in the week here at the running back position. If you're looking for a punt play, maybe you pay up for Allen and you want to pay up for some big receivers. I want to throw this name out there because it's Antonio Gibson at 5,100. It's interesting, obviously, because of the salary savings. The Dolphins suck. They're broken. The Jalen Phillips is out for the year. And they're talking about potentially Antonio Gibson being the starter. So I don't know that I'm going here yet. He projects well as a tournament play to leverage the field, especially at 5,100. But tune into the practice reports this week and just kind of see what the Patriots are saying, because Antonio Gibson at 5,100, I don't know how well he's going to project as far as what his touchdown upside is or his yardage, but it's so cheap that it's hard just to overlook him. So just keep him in mind as you put together your cash lineups. At the receiver position, this is probably where I'm going to try to get four of these receivers into my lineup. Obviously, you have to start three of these guys. But I think I'm going to try to get 4 because the running backs this week it's just not great. There's nobody that really separates themselves, in my opinion, as a slate breaker. But I like a lot what some of the volume is going to be for these receivers. So let's start at the top with the wide receiver 2 on the season, but the wide receiver 1 in total yards. He has 100 more yards than Neighbors and the field does. And that's Nico Collins at 7,700. So same price as Josh Allen, same game environment as Josh Allen. Again, if you believe that Buffalo and Houston are going to be the highest scoring game of the week, and we all hope that it will, I do think it can get there. If you're starting Josh Allen, have a nice bring back piece with Nico. So 7,700 for Nico Collins. Nico's not quite locked into my lineup, but pretty darn close. This next name is probably going to make the lineup no matter what. If Neighbors doesn't play, and he does look unlikely to play, then Wan'Dale Robinson at 5,600. He's locked in my cash lineup. Look, 14 targets last week. I know Neighbors was there, but 14 targets. He got 12 targets in week 1. So if Neighbors is gone, Wan'Dale's the guy. So give me the volume, give me the targets, especially if this game doesn't go well and the Seahawks get out in front and they're chasing it. The Giants, give me Wan'Dale and some garbage time yards, maybe a garbage time touchdown to bring things back. But the targets, I think, and the volume is what we're chasing, especially in cash. Give me Wan'Dale at 5,600. Tank Dell's practicing. He's practicing in full. I wouldn't play Collins and Tank together. I do think Tank is an interesting tournament play in cash. If you're looking to leverage and get a little bit different off of Nico, then I think you can play him. It's $5,400. It's way too cheap for Tank. He hasn't produced at what the level that we need him to yet. So it's probably not somewhere I'm going to go. But again, at 5,400, I had to include him in my player pool. You know, we've got another day to go before final practice reports come out on Saturday. So yeah, don't exclude Tank from your lineups. The next receiver is probably locked into my lineup, I'll be honest. Since Andy Dalton has taken over, Deontay Johnson has seen 14 and 13 targets the last 2 weeks. So I don't love the game environment. It's on the road against the Bears. I don't know that it's going to be a shootout, even though we thought, the Panthers could get there last week with the Bengals. I don't trust the Bears right now, but I'm chasing that volume. And if you're going to tell me at $6,100 that Deontay Johnson can get double-digit targets, sign me up. I'm in. 2 punt plays to consider this week. If you need to punt to save some salary, if you want to go somewhere else, I have a tight end that's very expensive. If you want to play him, a punt play this week for me, Josh Downs, 5,100. We need to see who the quarterback is. There's, Anthony Richardson is day-to-day. Obviously, he hasn't been very good. If Richardson is the quarterback, I'm probably not playing Downs. If Flacco is the quarterback, I'm considering it. Jacksonville's awful. They're 31st against the pass. It's a game that it could be 7-3, could be 37-35. It's just who knows what's going to happen in this game with the quarterback situation. But Josh Downs at 5,100 is a really interesting punt play. And I do think with the way that Jacksonville's giving it up against the pass, if you need the savings, he's a good player and he's a good option here. The other one is Jordan Whittington at 4,600. And look, the Rams have to throw it to somebody. I expect Green Bay to be out in front. I expect Green Bay to win this game. I expect the Rams to be chasing points at 4,600. Whittington doesn't need to do much to pay it off. So if you really need a super cheap punt play because you want to pay up for, expensive running backs, or you want to go Josh Allen, Nico Collins, and kind of do a correlation game stack there with some of the higher priced quarterbacks and receivers, I'm okay throwing Whittington in super cheap late to just kind of see what your lineup looks like before you finalize it. Let's talk about 3 tight ends. Tight end number 1 for me, look, it's Brock Bowers. 5,500 is expensive for a tight end, but Devontae Adams is missing this week. Regardless of the trade, he has the hamstring injury, so he's not playing this week. Michael Mayer has been back in practice, but he is still questionable to play, which really leaves Jacoby Myers. Zamir White has shown me nothing, and Madison hasn't shown me enough to really say that the Raiders are going to go anywhere else. I think Bowers is expensive, but I think he's the number 1 pass catching option again this week, and I do think he can pay off that salary. If he scores a touchdown, you're good. It's just expensive. So if you're not wanting to pay up for Bowers, the volume is going to basically be guaranteed to him. But I also really like Tucker Kraft this week at $3,500. It looks like Luke Musgrave isn't going to play. He's questionable, but he didn't practice for the second day in a row. So I think the questionable designation is more so that they just haven't ruled him out yet. I don't know that this is really a punt play. I really do like Tucker Kraft this week, regardless of the price. At $3,500, it's not expensive. And I think he should project really well. And it's so difficult. Dontavian Wicks is the hotness. I just picked him up off a waiver wire in one of my leagues. But it's so hard especially in cash, to project these Green Bay wide receivers. So, give me Tucker Kraft at 3,500. I like that. This next one is a punt. It's a super punt, but I like where he's at in terms of his usage. He's gotten 4 targets each week. He has caught all 4. And it's Eric All. 2,700. It's a super punt play, but Mike Gesicki looks awful. He was 1 for 1 for -9 yards last week. He lost you points if you played him in any of your lineups. And Baltimore's 31st against the tight end position. So if you really need a super punt play, I think Eric All's your guy. I personally am probably going to be playing Tucker Kraft, but again, depending on what my build looks like, if I want to move up at receiver and get a little higher priced receiver, and Josh Allen, and that's kind of how I lean right now, I think Eric All could fit in your lineups and could actually pay off that salary. Again, he's getting 4 targets consistently. I did pick the Ravens in this game, but I could see the Bengals winning it. Stranger things have happened. At 2 DSTs I want to talk about, and I'm only considering these 2. I am not paying up this week. I am paying down, as I always do. The first is the Colts at 2,600. Look, Jacksonville's a disaster. Let's just call a spade a spade. I don't want to ruin the weekly picks, but I think this is a low scoring game. And Jacksonville, look, the turnovers could be there. All the Colts really need to do is get a couple sacks and a couple turnovers, 1 turnover, and I think you more than paid off your 2,600. I'm probably going to take the Panthers defense at 2,400. Caleb and the Bears, they're winning games despite him. Let's just be honest about that. The defense for the Bears is pretty good. The Panthers are kind of up and down in terms of what they've been doing. So again, probably a lower scoring game, not an awesome game environment. I like the Panthers at 2,400. Again, they're cheap punt plays. You're looking for a turnover and 2 or 3 sacks, and I think you're going to be solid. If you want to pay up, you can. I'm just never a big fan of that because the NFL is just so unpredictable at times. So before I get to the weekly picks, I just want to say what up to a couple folks here in the chat. Appreciate y'all hanging, and got a couple of quick questions we'll get to. DD Red Solo Cup 32. I traded Najee and Jalen Reed for Breece Hall. Did I mess up? I don't think so. I think the panic alarms that are not setting off, but that are questionable, is what happens if Devontae Adams. We talked about this on the show last night. What happens if Devontae Adams gets traded to the Jets? I think that hurts Garrett Wilson. I think the target share that Breece has gotten should stay relatively around the same. Maybe he averages about 1 less target per game. Jaden Reed is great. I think with Jordan Love healthy, he's going to be fine. But Najee's been what Najee has been. He's just pedestrian. He doesn't look good. He couldn't get it done last week without Jalen Warren. Jalen Warren is questionable this week. I don't know if he'll play yet. It looks like he will, but how involved is he going to be? So no, I don't think it's a bad trade at all. Braylon Allen getting worked in has actually just been fine. Like Breece has still been able to get there. Last week was kind of, you got to take last week and kind of throw it out. I don't see that game happening. I mean, it could happen again, but I think last week was an anomaly. So no, I don't think you messed this up. I like the trade. You're still getting a guy who has top 5 overall potential and has ceiling. Joe Ortiz, good friend of the show. What's up, Joe? Need emergency help. Do I start Algier tonight or Braylon Allen on Sunday in London? I'm hurting due to injuries and buys. I need to drop Allen to grab Algier. Oof. Vikings defense has been good. The game is overseas, which I always think is a difficult adjustment. I know Vita Vea is playing, and the Bucks have been a pretty good defense, but I don't know if Bijan is fully healthy. He was out-snapped last week by Tyler Algier, so maybe that was an injury thing. Maybe it wasn't. I think tonight's going to be pretty telling. I would start Algier. It's very close, Joe. I just, with them going overseas, with the Vikings defense playing well, it's an early game time for us, but it's kind of an evening game in London. I think it's really, really close, but I think given the usage, I think Algier is probably who I would play. I wish I had like a more clear, definitive answer, but if if it was easy, you probably wouldn't be asking the question. But I lean Algier just slightly. Parayko, what up, my buddy? Says just traded Ramondre for Waddle. Good trade. My RBs are Kyron and Brooks. Fucking tastic, except for the fact that both teams suck right now. The good news is that Tua says and looks like he's going to be coming back. At what point, I don't know. Please wear a Guardian cap, Tua Tagovailoa. Just come on, dude. Like, be a smart enough guy to understand that you got a wife and kids and family to take care of. Ramondre's had some fumbling issues. They're talking about starting Antonio Gibson. I know the Dolphins' offense is broken right now. I know you can't realistically start Waddle or Tyreek without Tua and feel good about it. But the Patriots' offense is a low volume offense. They're not going to have a ton of run. They're not going to have a ton of touchdown opportunities. Brissett can't move them, and they're unwilling to make a change to put Drake May in. We'll get into that another time. So I think it's a good trade. The challenge with your running back room here is Brooks has not opened up the practice window, but you have Kyron and Jacobs. So as long as you're okay playing the both of them together, Brooks's window should, emphasis on should, open in the next week or two. If it does, I think you're going to be fine. And hopefully by second half of the year, when you're looking at a playoff run, or hopefully you're, looking at actually getting a top seed, Brooks will be healthy and be a part of your mix, and hopefully Tua's back, and you'd much rather have Waddle rest of season with Tua than Ramondre. So, no, I like the trade. I think it's a good trade, and anytime – I'm just not in on Ramondre. Anytime you can get him off your roster, I'm good with it. So, all right. Let's take a look at some weekly picks. There are 14 games this week. The Detroit Lions, Los Angeles – so I was calling them Los Angeles Chargers, Philadelphia Eagles, and the Tennessee Titans are all on a bye week, although the Titans may be on a permanent bye week. Let's talk about tonight's game. The Buccaneers at the Falcons. I like the Bucs tonight. And for those that are looking at, two different pools, this is my picks straight up, but I also want to include my confidence points. I like the Bucs tonight, and I like them a lot more than I thought I did. I've got 9 confidence points on the Buccaneers tonight. The Jets are at the Vikings, but the game is in London, so there's no real true home team. Look, the Commanders were my upset pick last week in week 4. My pick of the week, I'm taking the Jets as my upset pick this week. If this game was in the U.S., if the game was in Minnesota, I would probably be taking the Vikings. But I like the Jets this week as an upset over the Vikings in London for 4 confidence points. Panthers at the Bears is the next game. In my straight up pool, I took the Bears and I took them for just straight up. In my confidence picks, I took the Panthers because I just want them to win something, because the Bears have just stuck it to them every time they can, right? They've killed them in the trade. They've beaten them. It's just nothing can go right. So I do like the Bears this week. I'm taking the Panthers in my confidence pool for only 1 point. In my straight up picks, where it's the picks you have to get the pick right, I will just take the old Chicago Bears. I don't love the game, but maybe we'll see if the Bears defense is as good as we think it is, and Bears can get a win at home. Ravens at the Bengals. I mentioned this one earlier. I think it's a weird game environment. I think everyone is picking the Ravens. I am going to pick the Ravens. I stared this one down for a while, I'll be honest. It's one of those games where you just go and you look, and we may be talking about it Monday morning, quarterbacking this thing and going, how did we not see the Bengals at home in a divisional game? I took the Ravens. I'll take them for 6 confidence points. So kind of middle of my pack here, not super high, not super low. I really think it depends on which Joe Burrow and offense shows up. If that offense that we saw against the Chiefs shows up, Bengals are going to win this game. If it's the offense we've seen the last 2 weeks and a defense that's a disaster against a Ravens team that is peaking right now and playing really, really good football, Ravens should win this game easily. So I'm still going to take the Ravens for 6 points, but if you haven't had to lock in your picks yet, If you're a couple points behind in your league and you might need to go take a look at, where you are in the standings, most people are going to take the Ravens. So I don't think the Bengals are the worst upset pick this week. Bills at the Texans. I really, really want to take the Texans in this game, but I think Buffalo bounces back after the Monday Night Football loss to the Ravens last week. I think it's a good day for Josh Allen. I hope, as we all do, that this is a shootout. We want points. There's a lot of investment in fantasy players on both sides of the ball in all formats. I could see either team winning it, so I only took Buffalo for 2 confidence points, obviously not feeling like they're going to go in there and roll. But I did take Buffalo for 2 confidence points, and I will take them in the straight up picks as well. Colts at the Jaguars. Close your eyes and don't watch the game. I don't think it's going to be a good day. I'm taking the Jaguars. They got to win at some point. So this is my second upset pick of the week. I'm only taking them for 3 points in my confidence pool. I'm not super confident they're going to win this game because they haven't shown me that they're capable of it. But they got to win at some point, and I think this is the week that they can do it at home in a divisional game with probably their season on the line, potentially their head coach's job on the line, because I think if they fall to 0-5 and the Colts win this, Doug Peterson's getting fired. Maybe not immediately after this game, but in the next week or two, if they lose again, he's out. And I think you'll see a new head coach or an interim come in pretty soon here. So, yeah, Colts at Jaguars. Give me the Jaguars for 3 confidence points at home. The Dolphins at the Patriots. This game is another one. Close your eyes. Don't watch the game. I'm considering, and I can't believe I'm saying this out loud. I never thought this was a sentence I would ever say. I'm considering benching Tyreek Hill this week, and I don't think it's crazy. So we're going to talk about it tomorrow night on the show as we break down each of the games on the main slate. I just don't see how you can play Tyreek right now. The only reason to play Tyreek is if you're just super thin at wide receiver and you just are hoping and praying that they, Mike McDaniel manufactures some touches, which they've been trying to do, and he just breaks one off and gets you a long run for a touchdown. I am going to take the Patriots in this game, and I'm going to take them for 11 confidence points. I think the Dolphins' offense is broken. I know the Patriots aren't a great team either, but their defense is pretty good, and the Dolphins' defense isn't. And so that's what I think I'm banking on here, is that the Patriots get this done at home. Give me the Pats for 11 points. Browns at the Commanders. Look, Commanders are flying right now. I told you they would go in last week and beat Arizona in Arizona. It was a revenge game for Cliff, having been the head coach and been fired by them. They went in. They didn't just win the game. They smashed. It was a great day for Washington. All the pundits are talking about Jaden Daniels being the best quarterback in the AFC or the NFC. I'm not quite there yet. I think that's a bit of a stretch, but I like Washington at home. I like them for 7 points this week. Give me the Commanders. The Raiders at the Broncos. Look, the Broncos-Jets game was unwatchable. It was a just absolute disaster of a game. I think this one goes pretty similarly this week. No Devontae Adams. The Broncos, Pat Surtain will probably be on Jacoby Myers, which is, again, why I like Brock Bowers this week. So I just don't see the Raiders going to Denver and winning this game. I just don't see how they get it done. Give me Denver at home for 8 confidence points. Cardinals got blown out at home last week by the Commanders, and now they get to go to our beloved 49ers. Niners are winning the game, 13 confidence points. Let's move on. Green Bay at the Rams. Look, the Rams are decimated. Their defense isn't great. Their offense is missing 3 linemen. They have no wide receivers. Green Bay's got Jordan Love back, and I thought Jordan Love looked fine last week with the knee injury. Obviously, he threw it a billion times because they were chasing the game, but I still thought he was moving okay. They protected him fairly well. There was only 1 or 2 hits that I saw him take. I'm invested, obviously, as most of you are, in Jordan Love. So I was only 1 or 2 hits I saw him take where I was like, oh, could I lose him again? And he's fine. So I think another week of rehab. Packers, I don't care that the game's in LA. On the road doesn't bother me. I know that LaFleur and Sean McVay are good friends. Give me the Packers for 12 confidence points. Giants at the Seahawks. It is hard to go across the country. It is hard to go to Seattle with the 12th man, and you don't have your best player as of right now. Neighbors has not cleared concussion protocol. If he plays, it doesn't change my pick. It might change my number of confidence points. I still have Sunday to adjust till Sunday to adjust it. But as of right now, I have the Seattle Seahawks winning this game, and I have 14 points. my number one pick of the week, the highest amount of points I can assign. Cowboys at the Steelers. I'm going to take my third upset pick of the week here. It is Sunday Night Football. I know that the Cowboys are on defense. They're missing some guys. DeMarcus Lawrence not going to be playing in this game. Micah Parsons looking like he's not playing in this game. But the Steelers, they just haven't shown me enough yet on offense to really feel like, hey, they're going to, even with those guys missing, that they're going to just win this game. It's an upset pick. I think the Steelers can win it at home, Sunday Night Football, national TV. It wouldn't shock me if they did, but I like Dallas this week. I like them for 5 points, so I'm not super confident on it. But I think if Dak comes out and plays well and CD gets going, I think that's a lot to handle. So give me Dallas in this game as an upset pick. It is an upset. I think most of the country is probably going to take the Steelers. I'm going a different way. Last game of the week, Monday Night Football, Saints at the Chiefs. No Rashee Rice, placed on injured reserve today. A minimum of 4 weeks. Andy Reid has given us the coach speak. We're waiting till the swelling comes down, but the fact that they haven't announced anything about his ACL and they've already put him on IR doesn't really inspire me. The Saints were the hottest team to start the season. Kansas City is a tough place to play, man. I think it's a really difficult place to play on Monday Night Football. Chris Jones is an absolute effing game wrecker, and I think he wrecks this game. Give me the Chiefs at home on Monday Night Football for 10 confidence points. So for those that are needing a quick recap, give me the Buccaneers tonight. Give me the Jets, Bears, Ravens, Bills, Jaguars, Patriots, Commanders, Broncos, Niners, Packers, Seahawks, Cowboys, and Chiefs for the win this week. One last question here before we wrap up and get you guys ready for Thursday Night Football. Smokey the Cat, what's up, my guy? Appreciate you being here. Chase Brown or Bucky in a full PPR as your flex option. It's close. Give me 1 second because I want to just see Zach Moss. I have to see just one quick thing on that. Zach Moss, what is your status this week? As of right now, Zach Moss looks like he's playing. I probably take Bucky. I'll be honest. You know, I said that the Bengals could win this game. We may Monday morning quarterback this and go, how did we not see this? Because Baltimore's been up and down, but I like the way Baltimore's been playing right the last 2 weeks. I think they're flying a little bit higher right now. And if Moss plays, and it looks like he is, I know Bucky is also in a timeshare, but Bucky is getting more run and more snap than Rachaad White right now. So give me Bucky tonight. In a game where I do think the Bucs are going to win, and maybe that gives the opportunity to rest Rachaad White if the Bucs are up, and gives you a little bit of extra garbage time for Bucky to push him over the top. So hope that works out for you, Smokey the Cat. If you have other options, let me know, but that's how I would lean. I am starting Bucky in one of my leagues as a flex play as well, if that gives you any extra confidence. Team Money, 10-man, full PPR. Here we go. We've got Burrow, Jacobs. Sorry, this is his roster. Burrow at quarterback. Jacobs and Connor at running back. Looks like CD and Jamar Chase. Well, that's nice. CD and Jamar Chase with Dalton Kincaid as his tight end. And then the bench looking like DK Metcalf, Jamison Williams, Ford, Chase Brown, Josh Downs, Dontavian Wicks, Xavier Worthy, and looks like Brooks on IR. Question is, should I trade Connor and DK for Gibbs and Devonta Smith? I think we had this question. I know we had this question last night. This is an easy one for me. If you can go and get Gibbs and Devonta Smith for DK and Connor, get that trade done immediately. I don't know that you will get it done, but if you have that in your queue right now, smash that. I wouldn't expect that trade to get done. Obviously, the Gibbs and Devonta Smith is the much stronger side of the trade, especially in a dynasty league and even in a straight-up league. But for me, if you can get Gibbs and Devonta Smith, that is super, super easy. And then T-Money saying, nope, the guy who's 1-4 sent it. Smash that button, dude. Take that and run. 100%. 1-3. Yeah, doesn't matter. You got that trade done. So if there's no more questions in the chat, looking like we're going to be able to wrap up here and get you guys right out the door. Everybody ready for Thursday Night Football. Enjoy the game. Hopefully we have a good one. If you have more questions, things that you're looking at, we will be back tomorrow night with our sit start show. You can catch the East Coast show, and you can catch followed immediately by the West Coast show. The schedule is on the screen, but 6 p.m. tomorrow night Pacific will be the first part, and 8 p.m. And then, of course, make sure you come back on Sunday with Mike for our active, inactives, If you are not subscribed, go ahead and jump over to the channel, youtube.com, and you will Tresnor, and go ahead and give me a little subscribe over there. And of course, make sure you're subscribed to our affiliate channels, the Fantasy Boardroom and the Fantasy Football Tavern. Tresnor, do I start Phil Ruskin or Rasta La Pasta? It's going to be Phil Ruskin all day. You can tell Rasta I said so. No, just kidding. Love you, Rasta. Enjoy the Thursday night football game, guys. Hopefully we get a good game tonight. I think it should be. And again, I have the Bucks tonight for 9 confidence points over the Falcons. We are going to be back tomorrow. Looking forward to seeing y'all then. Otherwise, we out.
Wanted to white fantasy is the play. Marking nothing, but I tune in every Friday. Strategies provided.